You can't keep everything in the air. Scarcity of time, scarcity of resources, scarcity of people. As a leader, this is where things become the most important, because you have got to be able to function within this fear, scarcity, and maybe even work out some of those difficulties. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the second part of our discussion on empathic leadership and fear and what you can do to mitigate it. You're never going to get rid of it, and you're never going to avoid it. And you shouldn't want to, because fear is there to tell you something is wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are certain things that you can look for. So we talked about last time about how vulnerability as a leader, being open to the human side of things, can really spark fear. But it shouldn't. You just have to be very, very certain that you have the right boundaries, not barriers, healthy boundaries, and that your communication is super, super clear to alleviate fear in others and to really allow for your clarity to shine through. My name is Dr. R, and I really appreciate you being here and helping me work through this journey as we go through empathic leadership and EQ via empathy. And I am very excited to say that I have a book coming out in the fall, and I want to thank everybody here for helping me work through these concepts to be able to put it all together. This is very exciting. So one of the other things, and this is probably going to come as a surprise, that can create a kind of fear in leaders is scarcity. Now, when we think about scarcity, we immediately tend to think money, right? And that can be part of it. But there's other kinds of scarcities. It's anything that you just don't have enough of, even if that's time. That could be personnel. That could be expertise. That could be a lot of different things. Let me give you an example. As a leader, you have a major, major project coming up. You have a scarcity of time. So what people will do is hyper-focus on that one thing. It's called a focus dividend, because as human beings, we're very, very good at doing this and becoming hyper-focused and being able to really zero in on what's happening. However, because you are hyper-focused here, the other stuff around you can kind of slip. It's called tunneling. You're going right directly down that tunnel, super focused, but you forget about all of this. The problem is when all of a sudden you realize all of this has gotten lost, and all of a sudden it gives you that, oh, I let all that go. You know that fear feeling, right? Oh, yeah, I was supposed to do that. So this dichotomy between a focus dividend, and we'll call it a tunneling tax, keeping that out of balance can be a problem. Now think about it. When you're dealing in a business and things are done quarterly, you're doing 90-day sprints, it's very easy to get super hyper-focused going to the end of those 90 days and end up in that tunnel. This in turn creates a stress response, which is not completely different in a lot of ways from fear. Studies have shown that a sudden stress response can actually get you to perform better. But long-term stress response, because of the hormones that it puts in your body, the cortisoids and the serotonin and the other hormones that just will wear you down over time, that low-grade stress / fear will wear you out. The other place that this comes into play with this scarcity, you're looking at, there's two different ways to approach a goal. You can either approach it from the top down, which means you've set your goal, your big project or whatever, and then you work into it. That will cause your super hyper focus. The other way is from the bottom up. What that means is all of a sudden you realize you've got this scarcity problem, and now you've got this chatter. I didn't do this. I don't have enough time. I didn't do this. I don't have enough money. I didn't do this. I don't have enough people. Whatever it is, that low-grade chatter actually saps your bandwidth. Neurologically, it's been shown that it saps it in two ways. It takes away from your fluid intelligence, and just as important to leaders, it takes away your executive function. The fluid intelligence part means that you're unable to problem solve, you're unable to troubleshoot, and you're unable to get out of that tunnel and think outside your box. Your fluid intelligence is what allows you, it's like the intelligence you bring to any situation. It's not a technical intelligence. It's what you can apply to anything. It's what IQ tests are actually based on. Executive function is your higher level thinking, including self-control. Your bandwidth is taxed. You can't keep everything in the air. Scarcity of time, scarcity of resources, scarcity of people. As a leader, this is where things become the most important, because you have got to be able to function within this fear, scarcity, and maybe even work out some of those difficulties. And these are things that happen to everybody all the time. Lack of time, lack of money, lack of resource, lack of assistance. And in the business setting, even more so. My challenge to you as leaders is to recognize these two kinds of fears when they happen and be willing to work through them. Do not let them sneak in the bottom and change your thought. In this case, because you're working against neurobiology, the only thing you can really do is be aware of it. You have to be aware that these things can creep in, so that when they do, you go, aha, I'm tunneling. I'm missing the stuff on the outside. Oh, I just snapped at my secretary for no reason. My executive function and self-control is down because I'm worried about the year-end budget. An empathic leader is going to put their human connections before they're going to put their human connection before they're going to recognize their own fear. Fear is one of our biggest enemies. But because you are aware of it and you know what the responses are for us as human beings, you can sidestep it. You can tap into your empathy, because the biggest thing that any fear does for any of us is creates barriers. And as soon as you have barriers, there is no empathy. There is no fear but fear itself. Thanks so much.